Welcome back to another episode of the MRP Easy Manufacturing Podcast. In today's episode, we'll give you 10 essential steps to help you master capacity planning. When demand spikes, some manufacturers end up scrambling, leading to overtime costs and missed deadlines. But others can handle a surge without breaking a sweat. The difference is capacity planning, which is really just matching what you can actually produce with what customers are asking for. It sounds complicated, but it's actually much simpler than what most people think. But before we get into capacity planning, let's talk about what production capacity means. Production capacity is just the maximum output your operation can actually achieve over a specific time period. Notice I said actually achieve, not what the equipment manual claims you can do. It's the actual projection of your current capacity. Think about what actually drives your output. You've got your machines, your people, and the materials they need. Simple enough, right? But here's what trips up a lot of manufacturers. They focus on what the equipment manual says instead of what's really happening on the floor. With capacity planning, you're actually dealing with three different capacity numbers. The first is design capacity. This is what the equipment manual says you can produce under perfect conditions. Spoiler alert, conditions are never perfect. Next is effective capacity. This is the realistic number after you account for everything that actually happens in your shop. This takes into account that machines break down, people take breaks, and you have to switch between different products. Finally, there's actual output. What you're producing right now, today, with everything that's actually going on in your shop based on your current capacity. Now here's why this matters. When you don't have a handle on your current capacity, project management suffers. You might tell a customer you can deliver by Friday, but then your main line needs maintenance and suddenly Friday becomes next Tuesday. Or you're thinking about buying another machine when you've actually got unused capacity sitting right there. You just don't see it because you're looking at the wrong numbers. Nailing down your actual capacity isn't just damage control. Whether it's buying that new equipment or pricing a big order, every decision you make starts with knowing what you can really produce. Effective capacity management improves your decision-making process across all these critical business areas. Now, what is capacity planning? Capacity planning is a systematic project management process of determining the maximum output needed to meet forecasted demand. It's a forward-looking discipline that requires planning weeks or months in advance, essentially balancing your available resources with what your customers are actually going to ask for. Here's where capacity planning differs from production scheduling, and a lot of people get these mixed up. Production scheduling is figuring out when you're going to make something, but capacity planning is asking whether you can actually make it in the first place. You've got to know if you can handle the work before you start promising delivery dates. It's like the difference between asking, "Do we have enough people?" versus "Who's working Tuesday?" Most manufacturers use one of three main capacity planning strategies. All three demand careful resource management to be effective. The first is lead strategy, where you add capacity before demand hits. This means you're ready when orders surge, but it can lead to excess capacity issues like overstocked inventory. Second is lag strategy, where you add capacity after demand shows up. This saves you money but risks missing sales. And lastly, there's match strategy, where you increase capacity incrementally as needed, adjusting as you go. This requires careful project planning to be effective. We'll go deeper into these types of capacity planning in a minute. But first, why is capacity planning important? Well, a capacity planning can literally make or break your year. I've seen manufacturers who get capacity planning right, and they cruise through demand spikes while their competitors scramble. The difference from strategic planning shows up everywhere. Lower costs, happier customers, and operations that actually work the way they're supposed to. Capacity planning helps streamline and enhance resource utilization. Here's what happens when you wing it with capacity planning. 1 month, you're paying excessively for overtime because orders came in hot and heavy. Next month, your equipment's sitting there doing nothing while you're still paying the bills. Meanwhile, that big order you could have landed, it went to someone else because you couldn't promise a delivery date with any confidence. Worst of all, you miss out on sales opportunities because you can't scale up fast enough to meet customer demand when big orders come in. The financial benefits of capacity planning are real and measurable. companies have documented annual savings of $250,000 just from better workforce optimization, while others have cut inventory costs by 20 to 40% through improved planning. One manufacturer reduced inventory by over $20 million, and lead time improvements of 50 to 80% are common when you get capacity planning right. This directly impacts profitability by reducing waste and improving efficiency in meeting customer demand. There are also competitive advantages of effective capacity planning. Companies that have their capacity planning dialed in can ship on time, every time. Customers notice that reliability and keep coming back. Plus, they're not stuck with warehouses full of inventory they can't sell or frantically trying to figure out how to fulfill orders they weren't ready for. That translates to cash in the bank instead of cash tied up in problems. So, how do you find the right capacity planning strategy? The right capacity strategy isn't just about how you run your shop floor. This is a business decision that shows whether you're willing to take risks, how tight your cash situation is, and what kind of service promises you can actually keep. What works for one manufacturer might be a disaster for another, depending on their specific situation. Let's go over the three different strategies in more detail. The first is lead strategy, planning ahead of demand. With lead strategy, you're basically betting on future demand by adding capacity ahead of time. Think about automotive suppliers. They know a new model launch is coming, so they gear up months in advance. When you get it right, customers see you as the reliable supplier who always delivers. Get it wrong? You're making payments on equipment that's collecting dust while your accountant gives you dirty looks. Next is lag strategy, adding capacity after demand appears. With lag strategy, you wait until you actually see increased demand before investing in more capacity. It's perfect for cost-conscious operations or when you can get equipment quickly off the shelf. You minimize the risk of having expensive equipment sitting unused, but you also risk losing sales when you can't meet sudden demand spikes. Job shops with flexible equipment often use this approach because they can pivot quickly. Finally, there's match strategy, making incremental capacity adjustments. The match strategy is the middle road. You bump up capacity a bit when orders pick up, scale back when things slow down. It's like constantly adjusting your staffing based on what's actually coming through the door. Managing your team's workload effectively requires balancing available capacity with incoming demand. Understanding your team's capacity helps you make realistic commitments to customers. A lot of smaller shops prefer this strategy because you're not betting the farm on whether your sales forecast is right. You can react to what's really happening instead of having to do guesswork on what might happen 6 months out. Here's how to actually conduct capacity planning with a 10-step process. The first step is figuring out what problem you're trying to solve. Figure out what you're really after. Don't just say, "We need better capacity planning." That's useless. Are you trying to stop bleeding money on overtime? Cut down on all that excess inventory sitting around? Stop missing delivery dates and ticking off customers? Pick one main thing and go after it. And decide if you're looking at one line, one department, or the whole manufacturing plant. Step 2. Know what drives your numbers. Some things you can't control, like how long it takes suppliers in your supply chain to get you parts. Other stuff you can, like how long it takes Joe to change over from product A to product B. Write it all down. For the best results, pick units that make sense. If you measure one machine in pieces per hour and another in tons per day, you're just making your life harder. Step 3. Find out what your equipment really does. Forget what the manual says. Go do a Gemba walk and time things yourself. How long does that changeover actually take when Bill's having a bad day? What happens when the machine needs its weekly maintenance? How about when you're running that troublesome product that jams every other hour? That's your real capacity. Step 4. Get your BOMs and routings right. If your bill of materials says it takes 10 minutes to make a widget, but it takes 15, you're building your plan on bad information. Time every operation and track every KPI for real values. This includes the scrap rate, the rework, all of it. Step 5. Measure what you're actually getting. Take your real output and divide it by what you think you should be able to make. Multiply by 100 and you've got your utilization rate. Here's the thing though. Don't aim for 100%. Shoot for 80%. Why? Because when that rush order comes in, or line 2 goes down, you need somewhere to go. Running full tilt all the time is a recipe for burnout, both for your people and your equipment. Know what you can handle right now and keep a little breathing room. You'll need it when things get crazy. Step 6. Find your bottlenecks. This is where the rubber meets the road. Look at what you need to make next month and compare it to what you can actually produce. You will find problems. Maybe it's that old press that keeps breaking down. Maybe it's the inspection station that can only handle so much volume. Whatever it is, find it now before you're swamped. Prioritize the most critical bottlenecks first for maximum impact. Step 7. Plan for when things go sideways. Again, you will have problems. Have your overtime plan ready. Know which operations you can outsource if you have to. Figure out what equipment you'd need to buy if business keeps growing. Step 8. Get everyone on board. Capacity planning won't work if it's just you and a spreadsheet. Your sales guys need to know what you can really deliver. Production needs to understand why these new procedures matter. Get all team members on board by explaining to them why you're doing this before you just dump new processes on them. Nobody likes change, but everybody hates abrupt change. Step 9. Start small and keep watching. Don't try to revolutionize your whole operation on day one. Pick one line or one product and get that working first. Then expand and keep your eyes on the numbers. If something's not working, fix it fast. This isn't a set it and forget it deal. Demand changes, equipment breaks, people quit. Your capacity plan needs to change too. Step 10. Keep making it better. Once you've got the basics down, start looking for the next improvement. Perhaps it's better scheduling software. Maybe it's time to automate that packaging line. Maybe you just need to train more team members on the tricky equipment so you're not stuck when your best operator calls in sick. The point is, don't stop. There's always something that can be improved or done better. Look into adopting some continuous improvement initiatives. Common capacity planning challenges and practical solutions. Every plant runs into the same problems when it starts capacity planning. Here's what to watch out for and how to fix it. First is data accuracy and real-time integration challenges. The problem? Your data's all over the place. Production says one thing, the computer system says something else, and Joe in shipping is still updating his Excel file from who knows when. Good luck planning capacity with that kind of mess. The solution? Start cleaning this up now. Get your systems talking to each other, even if it's just exporting data and importing it somewhere else. Stop letting people keep their own spreadsheets. Pick one production planning system as your source of truth and make everyone use it. The next challenge comes with resource management and scalability. One week you're paying exorbitant overtime because you're swamped. Next week, half your crew is standing around because orders have dried up. Or worse, you've got 3 different product lines all needing the same machine at the same time. When workload exceeds capacity, effective resource management becomes critical. The solution is to make your system more flexible. Cross-train operators so they can move between lines. Don't aim for 100% capacity. Leave yourself some breathing room at around 80%. Smart resource allocation prevents conflicts when multiple product lines need the same equipment. Same thing with software. Make sure whatever you pick can handle growth, because there's nothing worse than buying a system you outgrow before you've even paid it off. The next thing to look out for is process alignment and change resistance. The problem? The sales team promises delivery dates without checking with production, and the production team schedules jobs without knowing material availability. Everyone's working hard, but pulling in different directions. Plus, half your crew thinks this whole capacity planning thing is just more paperwork. Solution: get everyone in the same room and hash this out. Make sure sales knows what you can actually deliver. Make sure production knows what's coming down the pipeline. And take time to explain to all stakeholders why you're doing this. People resist what they don't understand. They'll climb on board when it makes sense to them. Lastly, watch out for supply chain and equipment maintenance challenges. The problem? Your supplier's late again, and now you can't run that job you promised for Friday. Or your main production line decides to break down right when you're at peak capacity. Your beautiful capacity plan just became worthless. The solution? Know your weak points. Which suppliers are unreliable? Which machines break down the most? Build buffer time into your schedules for this stuff and start doing proper maintenance management instead of waiting for things to break. It's cheaper in the long run. Measuring success with KPIs. If you're not tracking numbers, you're just guessing. Here's a look at some KPIs to use for capacity planning. First, your capacity utilization rate tells you how much of your potential you're actually using. Forecast accuracy shows whether your predictions are worth anything. If you're always off, your plan's useless. On-time delivery rate is what your customers care about most. Order fill rate tells you how often you can ship from stock instead of making people wait. And finally, there's production attainment. That's just fancy talk for, did you hit your numbers or not? When setting up KPI tracking and reporting, don't make it harder than it needs to be. Start with whatever system you've got and get the basic numbers flowing. Set up simple dashboards, even if it's just a whiteboard with the key metrics updated daily. The goal is seeing actual demand problems before they break your bandwidth, not creating the perfect report that nobody looks at. And pick a schedule. Maybe check operational stuff weekly, bigger picture stuff monthly. Remember that KPIs are like warning lights on your car dashboard. When something starts trending the wrong way, don't ignore it. Dig in and figure out why. Is that bottleneck getting worse? Are forecast errors getting bigger? Use the metrics to spot patterns and identify inefficiencies. And when you make changes, track whether they actually helped or just moved the problem somewhere else. Capacity planning tools and calculations you can use today. You can start capacity planning with stuff you probably already have. Excel can be your friend here to start out. Download a free capacity utilization template and see what works for your operation. Look for templates that let you track your resources, see who's working on what, and spot when you're about to get slammed. Keep it simple. If team members can't figure out your template in 5 minutes, they won't use it. Complicated spreadsheets just end up sitting on someone's computer while they go back to doing things the old way. The calculations and formulas you'll need aren't too complicated. For example, for machine hour capacity, just take your machine count and multiply by operating hours. 5 machines, 8-hour shift, that's 40 machine hours. Now, if each part takes 6 seconds to make, you've got 40 hours of machine time, 2,400 minutes total. So you can pump out 24,000 parts in a shift. Basic math, but it tells you what you're working with. Your capacity utilization rate, take what you actually made, divide by what you could have made, and multiply by 100. That's your percentage. Now, if you find yourself spending more time updating your spreadsheets than using them, it's time to look at real software. You'll know it's time when you've got multiple team members trying to update the same files. Or if you need real-time information, but your data's always a day behind. Real software is worth considering if you're making decisions based on gut feel, because getting the real numbers takes too long to process. MRP systems sound fancy, but they're just ways to keep track of stuff automatically instead of manually. The key is picking something that fits your operation and supports your workflow, not something that makes you change how you work just to use it. The good news? Affordable and easy to use, small business-oriented manufacturing systems do exist and actually provide great return on investment when set up properly, even if they are a mouthful. Just make sure to pick a solution that integrates with your current resources and prioritizes easy implementation and usability. Make sure it can handle your type of operation and pay attention to both your current and future needs. Opt for software that can scale with your business, but doesn't bully you into paying for advanced functionalities that you might only need later. You might need to train your people to improve their skills in using computer-based initiatives. A best practice is to train 1 or 2 key employees on the software first. When they see its benefits and become in-house evangelists, that's change management done right. Trust me, it's a proven tactic. Don't try to roll out a new system with every nice-to-have at once. Pick one fundamental area, like scheduling or bills of materials, get it working, and then expand. And inform your people why the new system matters. Onboarding is crucial for a successful implementation. Measure the results to know if the investment was worth it. If you can't show short-term improvement after 6 months, something's wrong. Here's what I've seen after decades in manufacturing. There's a clear difference between companies that wing it and those that plan ahead. The companies that succeed are those reaping the benefits of capacity planning. They're the ones still growing when economic storms hit. They're not scrambling to find overtime workers or explaining to customers why their order's going to be late. They don't rely on guesswork. They make informed decisions so they can meet demand. You don't need fancy capacity planning tools to start. Just pick your busiest line and start writing down real numbers. Track it for a month. Compare it to what customers are asking for. That's capacity planning, and it's probably better than what half your competitors are doing. The payoff isn't just smoother operations, though you'll get that, even in the short term. It's being the supplier who actually shows up when they say they will. When your competition is making excuses about why they're behind schedule, you're the one loading trucks on time. That's the real value effective capacity planning delivers, and it's worth the time you'll invest to improve your operations management. That wraps up this episode of the MRP Easy podcast. Thanks for tuning in. For more information, visit mrpeasy.com. See you next time.